What's up, traders? It's Chris here. So welcome to this week's top trade review. This one is done by our member here, B3N. He's related to R2D2 or something like that. Just a fantastic trade on this one, a great momentum trade. He took a pretty straightforward role reversal setup and he grabbed over 400 plus pips and with a very, very tight stop. So he truly crushed it on this trade here. And we're going to go over, like our top trade reviews, we're going to go over his trading strategy, his entry, his stop loss, his take profit, and also give some tips and pointers on things that he could have done differently to improve his performance so that you can see how we trade, how we teach our members to trade, and how they make money trading. So let's go ahead and jump into this here. All right, so here's the trade. Pound Aussie, and his entry was 92.31, got out at 96.57, I think, roughly. So you're talking, what is that, 426 pips, 14R on that one there. So plus 14R, which is just absolutely incredible. That's a super high R trade. And so if you think about it like this, a plus 14R means he's getting 14 times his risk. So if he had risked $1,000 on this trade, he would have made $14,000 profit. And so think about that. If you're able to make just one of these trades, it can not only pay for this course, but what else could you pay for with making $14,000 while only risking $1,000? That's the kind of power of some of the methods that we teach. So you can get these high plus R trades. So let's get in the overall context, see what he was trading, what he was trading, what he was looking for basically. In terms of his stop loss, we'll analyze that. We'll analyze his take profit, which he was actually trailing the take profit, so he was kind of managing it. He is trading Pound Aussie, or he's taking advantage of this short-term momentum that is happening in this Pound Aussie here. So you have an impulsive corrective move, very strong impulsive move, increase in impulsiveness up, short-term pullback, a little bit of correction. And then if you notice, we're kind of hovering right around this resistance level here. So that is kind of like the high of the resistance level from boom, 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 boom. Now, let's go ahead and mark the bottom of this corrective structure, because what we have is we have this pretty strong leg up, form a corrective structure at the highs. Generally, when you have a bull trend in place and you have strong impulsivity to it, and then you form a tight corrective structure at the top of that particular leg or move, more often than not, from a probabilistic standpoint, the next leg is going to be up. It's with trend. So if the corrective structure was in the middle of this particular leg up, then that would be less probabilistic, but it's right at the top. Suggests there's very little profit taking, not much pushback from the other side of the market. Therefore, the probabilities are that the trend is going to continue. So first initial sell-off off this kind of 92.23 resistance area, the corrective structure, it's pretty much just one bar. It's a 1 hour chart. And then it just kind of holds right here at this particular RRL, or roll reversal level. So it was resistance, 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 resistance. Pops up now, support, 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 sort of. Decent buying off of that, spikes up to hit it again, sells off, comes right back to the level, and then it continues to push again. And what they're noticing, what B3 is noticing here, is that as we're pushing, 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 there's not really much of a sell-off after this particular candle. And the next candle, it opens a few points on it and just busts right past it. So if you wanted to take a breakout trade, unless you caught the breakout as it was happening, you would have missed it. Well, B3N figured, well, hey, this isn't too aggressive of a pullback. In fact, it already had pulled back to this prior resistance here and here and here, and now it treated it as support. So they felt like, hey, the resistance is now support. That's a roll reversal level. We have a with trend thing in play here, so I'm going to get long at the same particular level. So on the second touch, they get long on it, and they place a very tight stop on this one here. It is 30 pips, which is pretty tight on Pound Aussie. It doesn't leave a whole lot of room for that. And let's kind of mark here where he put his stop loss here. So he put it right over there, which I think is good because you put it below this spike right here. That's the first penetration below the level. And it is below all of this right over here, kind of these closes, 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 and this little spike right here. So it gives it a little bit more room. Super tight stop, 30 pips with 420 or 30 pips of target. It's just fantastic. So the market does briefly dip into the negative, and then it pretty much goes into positive and never comes back. He literally was in the negative for about, he got long, remember, at 92.30, which is right there. So he got in a little bit above the prior resistance here, which I think is totally fine. I think it's a, if this bounce is legit and this is kind of going to find buyers ahead of it, there might be some buyers that want to get in ahead of that level and push it higher. I think it was totally fine, the entry. I understand the intelligence behind it. He wanted to get, just in case it doesn't go all the way back, he wanted to get in. So he's giving himself a slightly worse entry to increase the probability he's going to get into the trade. Either one worked fine. He functioned with a 30 pip stop, and he was literally in the negative for 1 hour, 2 hours, and then it went in profit, and it was in profit for the rest of this trade. And this trade, he actually was in it for a few days, and he actually got out on this pullback here. If you look back at the chart, you can see this is his trailing stop here on MT4. And so it had already spiked up and then come back. So he got out right here, basically. Now let's talk about target that he chose, and we're going to zoom out to the daily chart so we can see the higher time frame context. There's the trade. So you just kind of get your bearings back again. And he had commented that he had seen some resistance here. This had kind of acted as support, resistance here, or support here, pushed up higher, a little bit of resistance, a little bit of resistance. He felt like this was kind of the first area that it would get stuck at. Going back to our 1 hour chart. So when the market spiked up, he's still trailing it. He kind of is trailing it conservatively, but then it comes back to this resistance level that he had spotted, and it has a very weak bounce, and then it just starts to break right through it. And he feels like, I'm done at this point. I feel like the momentum has shifted at this point in time. I no longer want to be in it. I feel like it hit resistance, and now it's selling off. And so I'd like to get out of this trade. So he closes it there, and just a fantastic job again, about 425 pips of profit on a 30-point stop. Now, what are some things that I think he could have done to improve upon it? I don't know the exact trailing method strategy that he was using for this. I think the way he trailed it was pretty darn good. I don't think he needed to really stay in it any longer. As soon as it got below this level, which was, initial bounce support, and then just kind of aggressive selling after, little bar here, and this makes it through, I think he should have been out of the trade. I think it was fine. I think the only other option that would have been, in this case, at least on the 1 hour chart, a good trailing stop, just trade up below the 20 EMA. Once it kind of really exploded above it, it hadn't been below it in a long time. Getting below that would have signaled likely a huge shift in momentum. So he could have trailed it there, but either way, he would have made only about 10 pips less, but I think that was a good alternative as, another option if you wanted it. So nothing to say about his take profit. Pretty much nailed it in terms of trading it. His stop loss, I think, was excellent. It was super well placed. I think the only thing he could have done, which is just a super minor improvement. This is, we're not talking much. We're just talking minor improvements. You want to squeeze as much juice out of every trade you could. If this really was the resistance from here and here and here, then get back at that same level. I mean, the market did hit it and went a few pips past it to 92.16. And so when it comes back, I would say just take the same level if you can. Don't be worried about, it's not like this is the first time we've been to this level in a long period of time. And, maybe the people maybe you're in a big bull trend and you're coming up to a major resistance, and sometimes players will take profit a little bit before that. It wasn't that kind of situation. We had a very clear level, and the market had already respected it with only maybe, what was that, 92.24. So you're talking like 8 pips difference. So I would have said, the only thing is just grab that extra 8 pips, be very patient with your entry. 8 pips wouldn't have made that much of a difference, but keep in mind, that would have brought his entry to 92.24, and that would have brought his stop loss from 30 to 24 points, and his target and profitability. So instead of having a 14R, he would have 435 pips plus 18R. So with such a tight stop, 8 pips would have made actually quite a lot of difference. 8 pips was about 1/4 of his entire stop loss. So he would have reduced his stop loss by 25%. And that does add up. If it was a 100 pip stop, not going to mean that much of a difference. It's only 8% difference. But 24% difference, 25% difference, that's a big difference there. So probably could have added just a little bit of precision, would have added definitely a higher plus R per trade. Instead of only making $14,000 in a trade for every 1,000 risked, it would have been 18,000 made. But we're splitting hairs because it's pound Aussie. Pound Aussie has a fair amount of volatility to it. It can easily move 8 pips and no problem. So overall, I really don't have much to say about it. Very, very small details. It's more of like squeezing the extra juice out of it, but just a fantastic A+ trade across the board. So congrats to B3N on this one here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to your comments and feedback. Were you able to grab this trade on this one? How did you do? I know some other people had some pound Aussie trades in the members area. And so just, great job to the traders on this one here. We've been doing this, series, Top Trader Review, for several weeks. And I'm just seeing, I look in every single week at their trades. I'm just seeing some of the fantastic jobs that they're doing, finding just really premium entries. They're not waiting for some pin bar or inside bar and some 4-hour daily time frame that's never coming. No, they're getting in where they see price action context in their favor. They're trading with the dominant order flow with trend as much as possible. They're finding premium entries that you won't get with any pin bar entry. They're getting in where institutional players are getting in, and they're maximizing their profit on that. So just fantastic job to them across the board. If you'd like to learn how to make trades like this, check us out at secondskiesforex.com. Other than that, make sure to give us a thumbs up, like the video, leave your comment below. Helps us with the YouTube algorithm fairies. You give comments and like our videos, and then they sprinkle the dust all over us, and then our channel benefits from it. And we really appreciate that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a great trading week, especially with the coronavirus. A 1,000-point drop today, third largest drop in the Dow Jones in history. Creates a lot of trade setups right now. I'm literally ready to like pounce on all these trade setups. I'm just sitting there like waiting. I'm like, oh my God, they're so close. I'm kind of salivating. There's a lot of good FX trades, a lot of good index trades, a lot of good stock trades. There's just a lot of trades across the board. Some great option plays out there. So I hope you're staying aggressive in the markets right now. Good luck trading this week. I'll look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you in the next video.